All right, chapter 7 of Scorpions. Chapter 7. Mama had burned her hand real bad in the morning. Sassy had been getting ready to go to school when she opened her school bag and all of her crayons fell out. They started rolling around on the floor, and some rolled under the ironing board. Mama was ironing Jamal's shirt. "What are you doing, girl?" Mama shouted as Sassy started scrambling around on the floor picking up her crayons. Jamal saw the whole thing happen, just like a movie. Sometimes he saw things like that. First, Mama started to look over the ironing board to see where Sassy was. Then she hit the cord to the iron with her arm and the iron fell over. It wasn't going to fall off the ironing board, but Mama grabbed it anyway. She grabbed it with her bare hand and pulled it away from the edge of the board. "Sassy, move!" "I'm just getting my crayons," Sassy said. But Jamal had already seen Mama jerk her hand away from the iron. "Are you okay, Mama?" Mama stood the iron up with her other hand and held onto the handle. "What's wrong?" Sassy stood up. Mama was shaking her hand. Then, when she saw that Sassy wasn't going to be burned, she went over to the sink and ran some cold water over the burn. Jamal didn't look at Mama's hand. He looked at her face. Mama's teeth were tight together and her eyes were closed. "Mama?" Sassy turned her head to one side so that she could see Mama's face too. "It ain't nothing," Mama said. "Get on to school before you're late." Jamal didn't say anything. He put his shirt on real fast so Mama wouldn't try to finish ironing it. It looked okay anyway. Dwayne started some mess in school again. First, Myrna got in trouble for blowing a bubble in the classroom. Myrna was always doing things and not getting caught, but this time Mrs. Rich caught her blowing the bubble. Then Myrna started saying stupid things about Mrs. Rich, about how short her hair was and stuff like that. Then Dwayne started. Nobody paid him any attention, but then he started on Jamal. "How come your shirt look okay in the front and all wrinkled up in the back?" he said, making sure everybody could hear him. "How come your face is all wrinkled up?" Jamal said. Dwayne kicked him from across the aisle. Jamal waited until Mrs. Rich was facing the board, and then he kicked Dwayne back as hard as he could on the back of his leg. "I'm going to punch you in your eye." Dwayne stood up. "Sit down." Mrs. Rich's voice cut through the classroom. "He kicked me," Dwayne said. "I didn't kick him." "I'm going to get you outside." Dwayne sat down. He was nodding his head and then started punching his fist into the palm of his hand. Jamal wasn't scared of Dwayne. He had already fought Dwayne once. Everybody said that Dwayne had won the fight because Jamal had a cut lip, but Jamal had got Dwayne 2 times in the face, and it was Dwayne, even though he was a lot bigger than Jamal, who had stopped fighting first. In science, they watched a movie. It was about water pollution. One part showed birds covered with oil on a beach. The oil was so thick that the birds couldn't fly. "That's Jamal's mama," Dwayne's voice came from the back of the room. Jamal didn't feel like fighting. "Let's just go," Tito said. "I ain't gonna punk out, but he's too big." "I don't care." Dwayne came down the street with Billy Ware, Myrna, and Ralph Williams. Jamal gave Tito his books to hold and then crossed his arms in front of him. "Fight, fight, fight," Myrna called out, and some kids from across the street started crossing over. "So why you kick me, fool?" Dwayne stood as close as he could to Jamal. "'Cause I did," Jamal said. Dwayne pushed Jamal and Jamal pushed him back. Then Dwayne kicked Jamal just below the knee. The pain was sudden, and Jamal bent over to grab his knee. Dwayne hit him on the back of his head, and Jamal grabbed Dwayne around the waist. Dwayne was almost 14, big, and he could hit hard. He kept punching Jamal in the back, but Jamal wouldn't let go of his waist. He tried to hold Dwayne and kick his legs, but he couldn't reach them. Then he started forward, forcing Dwayne back faster and faster until they stopped. Jamal could see that they had fallen against a car. Dwayne tried to turn Jamal around and get him up against the car. Jamal grabbed Dwayne's leg and lifted it and pushed forward again. Dwayne slid along the car and then went down. On the ground, Jamal let go of Dwayne and started punching. Dwayne got him in the face twice, and he swung back at Dwayne's face. They were lying on the ground punching, and Dwayne was trying to kick him when 2 men pulled him apart. "You guys got nothing better to do than tear your clothes up?" Both the men were mailmen. Jamal looked at his shirt and saw that it was torn. "Hey, Dwayne," Myrna called out, "you got doo-doo on your pants." Dwayne looked at his pants and turned back toward Jamal when he saw what was on them. "I'm going to get you again tomorrow," Dwayne was saying. "You go that way." One mailman pointed down the street and pushed Dwayne in that direction. "And you go the other way." "You okay?" Tito was waiting for Jamal. "Yeah," Jamal said. "Hey, loan me your shirt so my mother doesn't see how I tore mine." Tito took off his sweater and gave it to Jamal. "I think you won the fight," Tito said. "He don't hit so hard, right?" He hit pretty hard, but I got some in too. And he's the one that rolled in that dog do. I wish his face had rolled in it. What you gonna do if you start up tomorrow? Start up with him. Mama wasn't home. Sassy was in her room, and Jamal went straight to the bathroom. He took the shirt off and looked at it. Dwayne had torn his pocket off and ripped the shirt right down the front. Jamal's face hurt too, and he had a bruise on his elbow that he hadn't noticed before. Jamal, are you in there? Yeah. Come out. Why? I gotta pee. Shut up. Come on, I gotta pee. Jamal opened the door and came out. What happened to you? Sassy asked. Nothing. Don't tell me nothing. I thought you had to pee. Well, I don't have to pee now. Where's Mama? She went to work for Mr. Stanton, Sassy said. How's her hand? Messed up. She put some lard on it, and then she put a bandage on it. Sassy started doing her homework on the kitchen table. Jamal went into Sassy's room and opened the closet. Jamal went through it until he found Randy's old Scorpions jacket. Randy had 2 Scorpions jackets. One was larger than the other. It was the smaller one that Jamal tried on. It was still a little too big for him, but not by much. So why do you think he's looking at the Scorpions jackets? That's a good question. Everybody was talking about the fight when Jamal got to school the next day. Dwayne had reached school first and was talking about how he had beat up Jamal. He looks okay to me, Myrna said when she saw Jamal. Oswaldo Vasquez said that the fight had been even, and most of the kids who liked Jamal said that it was, but the kids who liked Dwayne said that he had won. Jamal didn't think the fight was even. He thought he had probably lost, but it didn't mean anything to him. He knew he couldn't fight his best when he was thinking about Mama and getting Randy out of jail and stuff like that. Some of the girls started giggling and pointing at him, but he just let it go. We're gonna have to settle this mess, Dwayne said when they reached math. Are you gonna punk out? I'll be there, Jamal said. Just bring your butt so I can kick it again. Dwayne had called him out in front of everybody, like he was in a movie or something, Jamal thought. That's how Dwayne was, like a cowboy. Jamal told himself that this time the fight would be different. He was going to try and tear Dwayne's shirt, and then instead of grabbing him around the waist, he was going to go for his face right away. Today we're going to study decimals, Mrs. Rich was saying. Who can tell me where the word decimal comes from? The night before, Mama hadn't got home until almost 10:30. Jamal and Sassy had been worried. Sassy didn't even go to sleep the way she usually did. When Mama finally got home, she had some Kentucky Fried Chicken and French fries. How come you're so late? Sassy had asked. Mr. Stanton let me work until 9:15. As slow as I was working with this hand, I wouldn't have made no money quitting at 5:30. Your hand bother you a lot? Jamal asked. It's okay, Mama said. I'll take this bandage off and let it get some air. It'll be okay in the morning. Jamal had looked over at Sassy. It had been her fault, her and her stupid crayons all over the floor, that Mama had burned her hand in the first place. Sassy had given him a look right back. Jamal, do you ever think there will be a day when you pay attention in this class? Mrs. Rich asked. Yes, ma'am. So, can you give me the decimal for the fraction of 5/10? No, ma'am. The day took forever. He saw Tito in the hallway, and Tito said that he had changed his mind about the boats. Now he was going to buy the big boat first. Too late, Jamal said. You already said you were going to buy the small boat. I'm going to buy the same size boat that man was on, Tito said. I'm going to get the boat bigger than that, Jamal said, so I'm still going to beat you to Puerto Rico. Not if my father's on the boat, Tito said, because he knows all about how to get to Puerto Rico. So I can get me a map. Well, he doesn't need a map. You going to wait for me outside? Yeah. Jamal forgot about the fight with Dwayne until last period when Dwayne started up again. Dwayne pushed Jamal as they walked into the classroom. Dwayne, what is your problem? The teacher asked. I don't have a problem. Dwayne had this big smile on his face and was looking around. Well, I think you do. Mrs. Mitchell was tall with gray blue eyes, and you can just stay after school until you solve it. I can't stay after school, Dwayne said. I got something to do. He looked at Jamal, and a few of the other kids laughed. You'll stay, Mrs. Mitchell said. During the class, Dwayne whispered something to Billy, and Jamal saw Billy writing a note. Billy put it on Jamal's desk, but Jamal just pushed it off. When Mrs. Mitchell left the class to get some worksheets, Billy turned to Jamal. Dwayne wants to know if you're going to wait for him outside, Billy said out loud. Or are you going to run like a punk? Dwayne asked. I'm going to run over to your house and see your mom.